Hey everybody, Andy here, aka Montolio. We're back for round 6 of a Vintage League. We're playing Bant, and our opponent, we don't know what they're playing. That said, MTG Goldfish tells us that they are traditionally a bug player. So I think this is reasonable. If there's a world where we can get up to Oko here pretty quickly, I think this is fine. We're on the draw. We can somewhat mitigate the land-heavy draw here, hopefully. We'll see where we go from here. Okay, Lotus out of bug is the scary turn 1. Okay, this is the double beam dream here. Our opponent not doing anything against us here. Okay, that said, I do think that I am going to attempt to time walk here. This is a little bit risky, but I think it's worth it. My opponent wants to fluster this, so I'm certainly not going to pick a fight over it. And hopefully we draw a blue card off the top. And we did. Okay, so this is going to allot us to be able to cast Oko. I think I'm going to get another green source here. Green is definitely the most valuable color in the deck. And we have the white source in the Windswept Heath, and this gives us a little bit of protection from Wasteland. So my opponent didn't even bat a lash at the time walk. This is very likely to be able to induce a move out of them. The question for me is do I want to get the value of getting a 3/3 right now and potentially getting Abrupt Decay? And I think the answer is yes. I'm going to take my Mox Pearl here and ensure that I get a 3/3 out of the deal. And if my opponent doesn't have the Abrupt Decay or anything, I think this is a good deal for us. So given the structure of our opening hand, our gambit appears to have worked here. We will be able to force a will a Abrupt Decay if they try it right here. So Hull Breacher, that's pretty good. I do think this is probably worth fighting over. If it does resolve, it's not the end of the world because we still should have Oko left. Okay, looks like they have a Flusterstorm here. Yeah. Okay. So we got flustered, and that's fine. Hopefully my opponent's hand was literally based off the back of that, and they don't have anything else. In this current situation, it's actually questionable whether I should have forced that or not, to be honest with you, because it's funny, Hull Breacher does not damage my deck like it does other decks, because my deck is just so creature-based. I don't have Preordains and Ponders, and I mean, I have a Ponder, but Gush, Treasure Cruise, Dig Through Time, I don't have any of those cards. Dig Through Time, of course, is not impacted by Hull Breacher itself, but... right? You speak, forever hold your peace. Well, I can Ancestral here by turning this off. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Like, I could just create, but a food, but I think my plan is just to turn this off. My opponent is obviously showing weakness on lands here. So I am going to kill that. I'm going to Ancestral myself here. Before the Death Rate's turned on for Flusterstorm, yes, we walk into Fawn here possibly, but I think that's okay. I'm going to get up another blocker here. And probably just going to play out the Sapphire here. Reason being is that I want the potential to attack with it next turn. We're both down to 2 cards here. I will be able to attack in with my thing over theirs because of the Exalted feature of Noble Hierarch. Okay, so quick concession there. It looks like my opponent is playing Bug of some sort. For playing Bug, I think Swords to Plowshares is pretty good. I also think that Prismatic Ending is reasonable. I could see bringing in some Endurance. Force of Vigor is not where I want to be. I think Collector Roof is extremely paltry in this matchup. My opponent did have a Lotus there, but that's reasonably fringe. I think this is pretty comfortable where I want to be. I could see a world where we bring in Pithing Needle to turn off something like Deathrite Shaman. That could be fine. I don't think Lavinia is probably that great either. Yeah, let's try this, guys. As you can see, I'm very heavy in the 3 department with this deck, but I'm trying a couple Hull Breachers in the deck to be able to flash them in. I've got Endurance that's got flash, so it's kind of like you sit back on counter magic and end of turn you can flash something in. This is a lot better with the Teferi, and because at end of turn your opponent can't necessarily respond to you. Three is the sweet spot in this deck, and it's a little bit of an awkward tension when you're wastelanding, but the key to the deck is being able to have a Noble Hierarch to be able to, or of course fast mana, Moxen, to be able to get yourself going. Okay, no turn 1 Deathrite, 2 games in a row, so that's good for me, I would think. I don't mind Force of Will here. I think I'm going to play the Heath here to protect myself from Wasteland, potentially setting up a good turn next turn. Right now, I currently like all my cards. Okay, no play. Interesting. Flusterstorm is fine as well. These are just all decent cards. Nothing interesting. Well, I'm very content to play pass go here if that's what we're doing. I mean, my opponent very likely has a Hull Breacher here. We're a very control heavy hand. We can flash an Endurance the end of their turn here. And it's no big if it gets countered. Tabernacle? What? My goodness gracious me. Well, I guess I'm going to spin my tire here. I mean, we may as well. They got the Hull Breacher or whatever. We can pretty likely win that fight. Now, the question is, do I want Endurance at all? My gut is no. I guess they could also, I was just about to say, they could also have an opposition agent here. And so that's what my opponent has been sitting on, is op agent. So a little bit of a difficult situation here because if I let it resolve and I lose a counter war, it's pretty awkward. But I think the likelihood of me losing a counter war is very minimal. I've got like 2 Force of Wills here, so... And of course, we left the white source up for a reason for swords. And so we're going to go get a green spell here. And we're going to attempt to cast... Hopefully we draw a land here. We didn't. Wow, this is just really good. So I think I'm going to cast a Archon. And we shouldn't be able to lose any counter wars from here to be able to remove this. At least not easily. I will say that since the printing of Hull Breacher, I have found myself to be very slow to adapt to it being in the metagame. I have fallen victim to many a Hull Breacher, and I would like to start to think that I am getting better at seeing them coming. It's not a perfect thing, but I am getting better. So they've got some removal by the looks of it. So probably going to fight over this with a Flusterstorm here. Heartless Act. Yeah. Oh, of course I cannot do anything because I've cast a Noble Hierarch. Yep, you got it. This will allow us to play an Oko next turn. And Oko shits all over Tabernacle. Barring we get wastelanded here. Make things actually fairly awkward if I did, but that's the world we're living in. Demonic Tutor. I'm going to let that go against my better judgment. We'll see if they go for a wasteland here. I've got quite a bit of mana on the table here. I would be a little bit surprised if they did that. Maybe they just go for an Ancestral. But let's see. I think it would take a substantial amount of discipline to go and get a Wasteland or a Strip Mine in this particular instance, but it's not wrong with Tabernacle in play. I also say that having picked up Bant again, I would say I'm a little bit sloppy as well with cards like Archon of Emeria. You know, I'm thinking about plays further down the road, and of course I'm just not realizing at the time that my opponent can only do one thing a turn, and I can only do one thing a turn. Case in point, what you just saw there, I'm like, oh, I can counter what they're doing, but of course I played a Noble Hierarch first, and I should not have done that. That was poor sequencing on my part. So I've got some learning to do around the best way to optimize playing this deck, but I am enjoying this deck. Endurance is not really what I want, but we're going to get our buddy Oko into play here. Hopefully. They do have Assassin's Trophy up, but we will fight over that. Ancestral Recall. Yeah, so we're going to say big fat no to that. And let's see if they've got a trophy in hand here. It would suck to lose our Oko here because I think Oko is a very surefire way to win. And I will counter anything that they cast to try and kill it. Or I'm going to attempt to. Oh, well, I can just steal it. Steal the Tarmo. Here's the trophy. Oh, very nice. Very nice. Can't stop that one. Big fan of Abrupt Decay over here. Yeah. Lavinia. How much do I care about Lavinia here? Probably care. Right, that works. And unfortunately, there's not much I can do here other than get into the combat zone for one. I think given a choice here, I think casting Endurance is probably just better here than Lavinia. Yeah. But maybe not. I don't know. I don't know my opponent's build of their deck. Okay, no play. Jeez. I will take that. Oh, that's a good draw. White, blue. will continue to get in for damage. Hull Breacher is obviously a thing here, but excuse me. I don't think I can play scared around cards like Hull Breacher when attacking in, unless I absolutely think my opponent's telegraphing one. It's not something I normally want to do. Okay, so an op agent. Yeah. Excuse me, I beg your pardon. I do think I'm probably going to wasteland the Tabernacle here. It is starting to gum me up a little bit, but maybe it's not that big of a deal. I'm not sure. Like, I'd like to start deploying creatures. I have more creatures than a bug deck does. Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, we're going to fight over that one. We just don't have a choice. Phew. By the hair on my chinny chin chin, I tell ya. Well, now, I think that's a pretty good card. If they have something like a treasure cruiser or whatever here, like, yeah, that's really bad for me. I just, you got to play to your outs, and I'm at 17 life right now. We've got a Sylvan Library. I think it's pretty good for me, and we kind of just got to fade them this turn. They haven't been doing much. Chiroko is a scary card, but well, that that hurts too for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, we can't use our Sylvan Library, but we are going to be able to attack into this eventually. Like, I'm going to attack into it this turn. That's the risks in doing what I did. Like, if they roast me, okay, well, we're going to be very proactive with our endurance here during our turn and hope it's enough. We cannot do that. Yeah, I mean, let's see if this works. I haven't felt like they've had a force up to this point, but certainly they could. We have days covered. Okay, so my opponent might have a force. They don't. Okay, that's good news for me. Getting rid of all that. Okay, and then we're going to attack into Narset. Meaning that if they choose to do it again, that the Narset will die and it will turn on our Sylvan Library. Dig Through Time is not looking like a good card for them right now. So that ended up working out very well for us. What is this? Necro. Interesting. I did not expect to see a Necro. I'm blown away by a Necro there. Jeez. Okay. Well, they're drawing a whole bunch of cards, and eventually I am going to be able to draw some cards as well. I cannot do it this turn, sadly, unless they use Narset. And I also have the ability to get an Archon into play potentially here. So that's, if they didn't find counter magic or removal, I might be all right here. Let's see. That's pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie. I don't feel favored in this particular game here. I don't even know what in Tarnation's going on. My opponent casting a Necro on me is pretty funny out of a bug deck. So let's see. I got rid of an Emerald. Okay, so none of these are good at the moment. So let's attack into Narset, and we just have to hope it works. We can't win if we have Narset on the table. And I think I can cast a Ponder probably, and then I'm going to attempt to cast a Archon. Does any of this appeal to me? I think the Archon's probably all right. I feel like given what they just did, like them only being able to cast one spell a turn is really good for me. So they do have the Force of Will this time. They pitched another Force, and I think that's fine. Let's see how bad I get punished. They've got 5 cards in hand. They were unable to draw a card. Okay, Oko's pretty good. I'm going to have a hard time with Oko, I think. I'm going to have to hope to be able to kill him. Okay, hopefully they don't time walk here. Wasteland, okay. Looking a little bit tenuous here. Okay. Now, Hull Breacher cannot get me with Sylvan Library. Wow, look at the aggression. I guess they have life gain off of Oko, so there is that. It looks like they've opted not to waste me. They do have an active dig. It's not on quite yet. So they could flash Hull Breacher now. Yes, so I cannot stop that. It does seem pretty good, doesn't it? Well, I think I have to attack into Oko, as sad as that makes me. I can't even ice it next turn. Unless they make an elk. If they make an elk, then they can. Yeah, we're looking a little bit awkward here. I mean, 5 cards in hand for them. They've got an active Oko and Hull Breacher. Hey, that Sylvan Library line really punished me. They went Narset into Hull Breacher. I was able to manage one, but could not get the next one. I do have 3 swords and a prismatic ending in my deck. I guess I've used an ending and a sword, so two left. It's been a pretty long game, actually. So let's see. I mean, they can elk my Archon if they choose, but they are in some peril here. They have to be careful doing that. Okay, so they have chosen to make an elk here. So that is going to allow me to kill the Oko if they don't have removal here. I wonder if they'll forget about the Exalted trigger. No. Okay. 6 cards in hand. Hopefully they did not find removal. That's one of the worst draws I could have. We will not do that. Play this, and I am going to attempt to kill Oko, which means I can't attack with my endurance, but you got to do what you got to do. Getting Oko off the table is very important. Oh, they do have something here. Jeez. Okay. I think I'm going to lose this one. Okay. I'm going to take 2 of my lands here, which is pretty good. Just gain some life, I guess. Sure would love to use my Sylvan Library at 20 life. Yeah, I mean, I guess a swords opens me up here. I'm scared to even fetch here because of Op Agent, but okay, I cannot do that. Well, this is really bad. Yeah, just chump block seems fairly reasonable. They're going to be able to steal my guy here very shortly. Change control. Yeah. Not much I can do about that, is there? I think, given the circumstances like that, that could have been a lot worse for me. I mean, I'm in a bad spot. There's no doubt about that, but I don't think I can. It's like opposition agent versus getting wastelanded. They have used 3 of their wastes. Yeah, they should be getting in very aggressively here. Okay, there's a Mox. Did we get Op Agent? We did not get Opt Agent. Well, I think that they probably have a Force of Will here. This is our best chance, though. Yeah, it's just Hardcast Force. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now they have 2 cards here. Sadly for me, my Archon Amiria. Maybe I should have cast Archon there. Archon cannot get through an Endurance. They're just sitting back on Hull Breacher. Interesting. I wonder why. Daze is just so bad. Well, let's see. They've only got 2 cards here, so it's not like it's the end all be all. I do have 3 life from this food eventually. I believe they still have a dig through time in hand. Seems reasonable. Tarmogoyf, jeez, okay. Did they pitch their dig? They obviously did. Yeah. Well, that is a heavy. Oh, that was actually a really good draw. They try and force this here too. It's like they have to chump block here. Now I have to chump block on the swing back, but like I have a chance here. No, abrupt decay makes me look bad. They just took it. No, they conceded the game. I don't think they should have conceded there because what ends up happening is they attack me with these two, sit back on this. I take 6, 9, I go to 1. I guess I can gain 3 life here. Still can swing back. They block. They had trophies in their deck and stuff. Like, I think they shouldn't have done that. It was a very good game though, and we'll take the win. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button, guys.